Somewhere between the rolling hills of Kentucky and the echoes of a mandolin, there's a hidden sanctuary where music, faith, and family come together under one wide-open sky. This isn't just land. It's a living tribute to America's bluegrass soul, and at the heart of it stands Ricky Skaggs. Today, we journey past the white fences and into the life of a legend, his farm, his fortune, and the roots that never let go. What happens when a 5-year-old boy is handed a mandolin? Not a toy, not a plastic instrument, but the real thing, by his father on a warm Kentucky morning. Does he play a few notes and walk away? Or does he change the sound of American music forever? For Ricky Skaggs, born in the small Appalachian community of Cordell, Kentucky, that mandolin was more than a gift. It was a calling. And by the time most children were just learning their ABCs, Ricky had already shared the stage with the father of bluegrass himself, Bill Monroe. At just 6 years old, he was standing in the spotlight, mandolin in hand, playing to a crowd that had no idea they were watching the future. A year later, he was strumming beside Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs on national television. The boy was too young to audition for the Grand Ole Opry. They said he wasn't ready. But the music was already written in his bones. As he grew into his teenage years, fate stepped in again, this time in the form of another young talent, Keith Whitley. The two boys, barely old enough to drive, began playing on radio shows together. Alongside Keith's banjo-playing brother, Dwight, they created a sound that felt ancient and new all at once. Their harmonies caught the attention of Ralph Stanley, who offered them a place in his legendary Clinch Mountain Boys. Can you imagine? Two teenagers from Kentucky, now part of one of the most revered bluegrass bands in America. It was more than a dream. It was the beginning of a movement. From there, the road stretched wide. Ricky joined the Country Gentlemen, then J.D. Crow's New South, learning from the greats, refining his sound. In 1976, he formed his own band, Boone Creek, alongside future stars like Vince Gill and Jerry Douglas. The group pushed bluegrass into bold, progressive territory without ever losing its Appalachian soul. But it was his time with Emmylou Harris that truly lit the fuse. As a key member of her hot band, Ricky contributed vocals, mandolin, and fiddle to the landmark album Roses in the Snow, bringing acoustic roots music into mainstream country like never before. Then came 1981, the year the world really took notice. Ricky's debut solo album, Waitin' for the Sun to Shine, launched 2 number ones, one hit, and climbed both the country and pop charts. And that was just the beginning. In 1982, his album Highways and Heartaches went platinum, a rare feat for a bluegrass-rooted artist. Songs like Heartbroke and Highway 40 Blues became anthems. Critics were amazed. Fans were devoted. And one man, Chet Atkins, the legendary guitarist and producer, would say words that still echo: Ricky Skaggs single-handedly saved country music. But even as the charts piled up with one hit, 12 in total, Ricky never strayed far from his roots. He brought Bill Monroe in as a guest on Country Boy. He produced Dolly Parton's White Limousine, helping her return to traditional country. He sang with Vince Gill on Go Rest High on That Mountain, a song that became a spiritual landmark. Through it all, Ricky walked a fine line, honoring tradition while daring to innovate. In 1996, after years at the top of the country world, he returned home, musically and spiritually, to bluegrass. With his band Kentucky Thunder, he redefined the genre once more, winning Grammy Awards and the hearts of a new generation. Even collaborations with unlikely partners, like Bruce Hornsby, Jack White, and the Raconteurs, didn't pull him away from who he was. They only reminded the world, bluegrass isn't just a genre, it's a language, and Ricky Skaggs is fluent. From jam bands like Fish to Irish groups like the Brock McGuire Band, from gospel recordings with his wife Sharon White to producing a Grammy-winning album for Hillary Scott, Ricky never stopped creating, never stopped serving the music. By the time the National Medal of Arts was placed in his hands by President Donald Trump in 2021, Ricky had already lived 5 lifetimes worth of melodies, memories, and milestones. But behind all the accolades, behind the Opry stage lights and studio walls, was a man still rooted in the soil of Kentucky, still drawn to wide-open fields, wooden porches, and the whisper of a fiddle on a summer night. So where does a legend like Ricky Skaggs rest his hat? Let's head down that gravel path and open the gate to a farm unlike any other. Farm in Kentucky. What does a sanctuary sound like when it's owned by a bluegrass legend? If you listen closely, beyond the rustling cornfields and winding creeks of rural Kentucky, you might hear it. The faint pluck of a mandolin, the soft murmur of family laughter, and the hum of a life well lived. This is Ricky Skaggs' Kentucky Farm, a magnificent $9 million estate that sprawls across 2 counties, where music meets ministry, and every acre tells a story of legacy. As you pass through the long gravel drive, framed by black wooden fences and tall sycamore trees, the landscape slowly opens. Rolling hills stretch like verses in a ballad, dotted with fertile fields, hay pastures, and hardwood forests rich in commercial timber worth millions. But these trees are not just assets. They're memories. They've stood through decades of songs, storms, and Sunday picnics. At the heart of it all stands a rustic lodge, intentionally designed not for extravagance but for communion. The exterior is a blend of natural stone and warm cedar, echoing both the strength and humility of its owner. Step inside, and you're greeted by vaulted ceilings, open timber beams, and walls that seem to sing their own harmony. The main floor flows like a melody. From the living room, where a stone fireplace anchors gatherings of family and friends, to the commercial-grade kitchen, a space built for both holiday feasts and impromptu jam sessions. This isn't just a kitchen. It's a place where cornbread sizzles beside sheet music and coffee brews next to conversation. Upstairs, the master suite is a retreat within a retreat. With panoramic views of the surrounding countryside, it's where Ricky often finds stillness, sometimes with a Bible, sometimes with a mandolin. The room is simple, but sacred. Downstairs, 4 guest rooms open out to the land, each offering privacy and peace. This lower level isn't just a basement. It's an extension of life above, with community spaces, storage rooms, and multiple bathrooms, making it perfect for extended family stays or visiting musicians. Adjacent to the lodge is a row of private guest suites, each with their own full bath and a shared lounge. Here, artists can find rest after long rehearsals, or fans-turned-friends can experience the quiet hospitality of bluegrass royalty. But the story doesn't end indoors. Step outside and you're immediately surrounded by a network of winding trails, some paved, some wild, that connect every corner of the estate. These aren't just roads. They're wildlife corridors, cut precisely to allow deer to pass through naturally, and designed with strategic funnels for seasonal hunting. And yet, this isn't just a hunter's paradise. It's an ecological wonder. Sections of the property have been carefully maintained to foster biodiversity. Butterfly meadows, wetland patches, and protected zones rich with monarchs and birdsong. Ricky's farm doesn't dominate nature. It coexists with it. Tucked discreetly behind the lodge is a large utility barn, complete with maintenance equipment, a commercial walk-in freezer for game preservation, and a workshop that houses not only farm tools, but the occasional fiddle in mid-repair. Every part of this farm serves a purpose, some for livelihood, others for leisure, and many simply for love. Whether it's the open fields perfect for livestock grazing, or the hunting blinds perched quietly among oak trees, everything here is in balance. And perhaps the most magical quality of all is how the farm feels alive. Not with noise, but with harmony. A place where Ricky can host a Thanksgiving feast one week and disappear into the woods for quiet reflection the next. Where grandchildren can run free, guitars can be strummed at dusk, and faith can be lived, not just spoken. This is not a showplace. It's not built for headlines or magazine spreads. This is a living album, written in grass and timber, filled with melodies only the land and its owner can truly understand. So when fans ask, where does Ricky Skaggs go when the music stops? The answer is simple. The music never stops. It just changes form. And here, on this Kentucky farm, it plays in silence. What does elegance look like when it's rooted in humility? While Ricky Skaggs' sprawling farm embodies the soul of Bluegrass, his second home, nestled just outside the quaint town of Versailles, Kentucky, reveals another side of the legend, a quiet reverence for beauty, comfort, and family tradition. Mansion in Kentucky. Set across nearly 11 acres, this $3 million estate feels like a well-kept secret, hidden behind black wood fencing and framed by Kentucky's soft green hills. But the moment you pass through the stone-pillared gate, it becomes clear. This isn't just a house. It's a haven. The driveway curves gently, flanked by gardens blooming with blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, and even asparagus. A nod to Ricky's appreciation for both natural beauty and simple pleasures. The limestone facade of the home rises gracefully ahead, combining traditional Southern architecture with modern refinement. Step through the front doors, and a sense of peace washes over you. The interior design is as thoughtful as Ricky's music. Warm wood accents, natural stone textures, and sunlight spilling in through floor-to-ceiling windows. From almost every angle, the house offers panoramic views of pastures and distant tree lines, as if nature itself was invited inside. The heart of the home is the great room, where a wood-burning fireplace anchors gatherings both casual and sacred. It's easy to picture a mandolin resting on the couch, or a grandchild curled up with a storybook by the fire. Nearby, the kitchen is a chef's dream, not just for cooking, but for connection. A long farmhouse-style table invites conversation, while state-of-the-art appliances and an oversized island ensure every meal, from Sunday brunch to holiday dinner, is served with love. From there, the layout flows effortlessly into multiple living and entertainment spaces. A cozy home theater is tucked into one corner of the house, complete with plush seating and soft lighting. The perfect place to watch old Opry performances or enjoy a quiet movie night. Just steps away, a billiards room and full-service bar offer a casual retreat for guests and family alike. But this home is not all about entertainment. It's also a sanctuary for rest. There are 5 bedrooms, each designed with its own mood. The primary suite stands out, not because of luxury, but because of light. Oversized windows frame the countryside like artwork, while soft linen tones, antique furniture, and personal photographs give the room a deeply lived-in warmth. The bathrooms, 4 full and 2 half, are dressed in marble and wood, with soaking tubs, rainfall showers, and vintage brass fixtures. It's all a seamless blend of comfort and elegance, designed not to impress, but to embrace. And then the magic continues outdoors. Step onto the screened-in porch, and you'll find a fully equipped grilling station, lounge seating, and soft-hanging lights, the kind of space where stories are told long after the fireflies arrive. Beyond that, the crystal-clear swimming pool shimmers under the Kentucky sun, complete with a hot tub and a stone-paved patio, perfect for both reflection and celebration. From every corner, the home whispers the same message. This is where memories are made. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about the Versailles estate is how unpretentious it feels. Despite its grandeur, it never tries to dazzle. Instead, it welcomes. It's not a display of wealth, but a quiet celebration of life, of family meals, music rehearsals, and slow mornings with coffee on the porch. In a world full of noise, Ricky Skaggs chose to build a life of quiet richness. And this home is its soft-spoken anthem. But wealth isn't measured in square footage alone. So how did a boy with a mandolin end up building not one, but two stunning Kentucky homes? Let's follow the money. Not for the numbers, but for the story they tell. How much is tradition worth in a world obsessed with trends? For Ricky Skaggs, the answer isn't written in gold chains or private jets. It's in something far more enduring. With a net worth estimated at $20 million, Ricky has quietly built one of the most respected financial legacies in country and bluegrass music. And he did it all without ever straying from who he truly is. But perhaps the most defining trait of Ricky Skaggs' wealth is how quietly it's held. There are no bragging headlines, no Instagram posts flaunting cars or watches. Instead, every dollar reflects decades of discipline, integrity, and devotion to a craft that rarely makes billionaires, but always makes legends. Because in the world of bluegrass, wealth isn't about noise, it's about legacy. And Ricky Skaggs, with his boots planted firmly in Kentucky soil, has built one that will echo long after the final chord fades. Philanthropy. What moves a man to give when he already has everything he needs? For Ricky Skaggs, the answer is simple: faith. Long before charity became a buzzword, Ricky saw generosity as a calling, not a headline. And while he may be best known for his music, it's his quiet commitment to serving others that reveals the deepest notes of his character. The story begins, as many do in Kentucky, with a storm. In December 2021, a series of deadly tornadoes tore through western Kentucky, leaving thousands homeless, heartbroken, and without hope. In the face of that devastation, Ricky didn't wait for a press release. He took action. Alongside fellow artist Stephen Curtis Chapman, he helped organize a benefit concert to raise funds for Samaritan's Purse, one of the most effective relief organizations in the country. The concert not only drew a crowd, it drew in compassion, raising essential funds for those who'd lost everything. But that was only the beginning. When historic floods struck eastern Kentucky in 2022, Ricky once again stood up. He lent his voice, both literally and figuratively, to the Kentucky Rising Benefit Concert, a musical movement that raised over $2.5 million for flood victims. It wasn't just a show, it was a lifeline. And when the cameras turned off, Ricky kept going. He used his platform to rally support on social media, encouraging fans to donate, pray, and stand with their fellow Kentuckians. Hashtags like Kentucky Strong and Hell and High Water appeared next to videos of Skaggs urging compassion, not attention. His giving didn't stop at natural disasters either. He's been a headline performer for intimate, heartfelt fundraisers, like the 2012 Benefit for Hope House Mission, or more recently, the 2024 to 2025 Refuge on the Ridge concert at Bach Tower Gardens. These weren't red carpet events. They were community-driven efforts to lift people from homelessness, addiction, and despair. Ricky didn't just sing, he showed up, shook hands, and prayed with strangers. He's also incorporated giving into his tour model, adding a small $1 charity fee into select ticket prices, with proceeds going to the International Justice Mission, a group working to combat global human trafficking. A small gesture? Maybe. But multiplied across thousands of tickets, it becomes a movement. Ricky's support of the Sweet Relief Musicians Fund is another reflection of his heart. This organization helps fellow musicians struggling with illness, injury, or financial crisis. As someone who's navigated the ups and downs of a lifetime in music, Ricky knows how easily a career can crumble, and he refuses to let fellow artists suffer alone. And throughout it all, one organization stands closest to his heart: Samaritan's Purse. Whether he's performing at their benefit concerts or simply encouraging fans to volunteer, Ricky has become a trusted face of their mission, a bridge between music and mercy. But here's the thing: you won't find Ricky boasting about these efforts. He rarely speaks of totals raised or awards received for philanthropy. Because for him, giving isn't about applause. It's about obedience. Obedience to the faith that shaped him, and to the belief that every life matters, whether it's a neighbor down the road or a child halfway across the world. In a culture that often equates generosity with grand gestures, Ricky Skaggs reminds us that sometimes the most powerful kind of giving is the kind that no one sees. And perhaps that's the real song he's been writing all along. When the stage lights dim and the last chord fades into silence, where does a man like Ricky Skaggs go? The answer isn't backstage or into a limousine. It's home. Personal life. Home. Not just to a house, but to a life built on faith, love, and family. Ricky's journey through fame has never overshadowed his most sacred role, that of a husband, father, and grandfather. Since 1981, he's been married to Sharon White, a fellow musician and one-third of the legendary country gospel trio, the Whites. Their partnership is more than romantic. It's spiritual, creative, and enduring, a union that's seen them tour the world and still find joy in singing harmony around a kitchen table. They're not just musical partners, they're spiritual companions. They pray before performances. They host family gatherings with guitars leaning against every wall. And when they're not on stage, you're more likely to find them sharing scripture on the porch than seeking spotlights. Together, Ricky and Sharon have 2 children, Molly and Lucas, both of whom carry the family's musical torch in their own quiet way. Molly Skaggs, their daughter, has carved a beautiful path as a Christian gospel singer, her voice as clear and grounded as the Appalachian hills she was raised on. Her music doesn't chase charts, it seeks hearts. Her lyrics often echo the themes that raised her: grace, humility, redemption. Lucas Skaggs, their son, is a multi-instrumentalist and studio musician, equally at home behind a soundboard or a dobro. Like his father, he rarely chases fame. Instead, he builds it for others, helping craft music that speaks from the soul, not just the radio. Their family, though woven with talent, is rooted in ordinary beauty. Sunday dinners, late-night laughs, bonfires in the backyard, and always music, not performed, but shared. In June 2020, Ricky faced a personal trial when he underwent quadruple bypass surgery in Nashville. It was sudden, serious, and sobering. But even in recovery, his faith never wavered. He called it a wake-up call from God, a reminder to slow down, breathe, and cherish the time he has with those he loves. Since then, Ricky has adopted a gentler rhythm. He still tours, still records, but his greatest joy now comes from ordinary days on his Kentucky farm. He continues to perform at the Grand Ole Opry, not for the applause, but because it feels like home. And even in those hallowed halls, his eyes often drift to the crowd, not in search of fame, but in gratitude for the people who've walked this journey with him. There's no entourage, no paparazzi, just a life that reflects his values: faith first, family always, and music as the thread that holds it all together. So what do you give the man who already has a Grammy, a Medal of Arts, and a platinum record? Time, stillness, laughter, and a front porch with a view. Because for Ricky Skaggs, the truest form of success isn't measured in accolades or dollars. It's in the ability to live fully, love deeply, and still hear the whisper of a fiddle when the wind blows through Kentucky. From a mandolin in the hands of a 5-year-old boy to the sweeping fields of a Kentucky farm, Ricky Skaggs has lived a life rich in tradition, music, and meaning. If his journey moved you, if you felt the rhythm of the land, the faith in his footsteps, and the warmth of his world, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join us as we continue to step inside the homes and hearts of legends who never lose their roots.